All righty. Well, oh, there we go. Hi, Laura, you're up. Laura's wearing her flower aura this evening. And don't you all think it looks beautiful?
Thank you. Thank you. They're hydrangeas that live in my yard. I wanted to ask, maybe there's been previous discussion about this before, and I haven't been present, but dear Gabby, who so kindly does the AC glossary as well as the reading, from the um, Book of Consciousness, she posted the 30-second rule. And I find it very interesting. And I wondered at some time, maybe it isn't appropriate today, but sometime, Jean Marc, I would appreciate understanding it through your perspective because um, it it seemed to me that somewhere along the line I heard you every now and then you'll drop a comment like, um, you don't want to spend any more than like 30 seconds on, anything emotional or something like that, which seems to be what this is about. And I'm wondering if you could help me understand the meaning of this reading. It just has it's an interesting thing for me to consider, being that part of my gift has to do with taking feelings and being able to express them either through words or through music, which requires a certain amount of allowing flow to just come through. It's not necessarily going to be as short as 30 seconds for me to find my way into that. And also, probably because I may be too thorough, there are ways that in my history I have spent maybe way too much time worrying over things that are emotional qualities or emotional problems that go for that long, simply being unresolved. And I'm seeing more and more as I read through Lama Singh how that is, it's kind of, it keeps you limited to allow that to happen. So I understand that. But this little reading, just I wonder if you could comment on it a little bit. Do you have
I'd be more than happy to. Do you have the excerpt there? And if so, would you please read it for everyone?
okay? It's not very long. The 30-second rule. The exploration of that, and then in brackets, emotion, requires 30 seconds of earth time. Any more than this, and you run the potential risk of moving into the challenge, moving into the work at hand, and exploring it, experiencing it, seeing it from the inside out. See, you can take on the energy of the opportunity rather than to build upon it. See, and this is from 2004, February '06, WP dash authority.
Okay. Thank you very much. This is a wonderful topic, and I think it will be quite luminous for many of us. Um, Lots of us I know have shared some other pathways and are familiar with other teachers who oftentimes encourage a in-depth feeling and exploration of being triggered. And Laura, primarily what they're referring to here is how do we deal with emotional responses that we might call triggers. They're
Oh,
certainly not suggesting that you try and download a piece of music in 30 seconds, only of 30 seconds in length. That's not the subject here. It's really dealing with what we might refer to as negative emotions, whether they be assumptions about self or about something that we're seeing outside of ourselves. So um, oftentimes we're inclined to deny something that's attempting to come out of our unconscious into our conscious awareness. Sometimes we deny it, we push it away, we repress it, we just don't want to look at it, kind of thing. Well, that's giving it a power and authority and actually keeping it within the scope of our being. Then on the other end of the spectrum, there's indulgence. And any of you who've been around spirituality long enough have probably been at some spiritual event where somebody's having something's been triggered, and that might go on for hours or days, or who knows how long we can hold stuff. And in the indulgence of it, we also are actually empowering it and keeping it within the scope of our being. So there are several factors at play here. Um, if you have in your mind, if you insist on, I have to understand why this is the way that it is, and I'll just use Helen's example. She was telling me earlier before we got on the call about having a fear of heights, right? So you can explore within the nature of your being, where did this come from? Was it a previous life? You can search. I call it analyzing. You can try and find the cause, because we can believe that we need to understand the cause before we can let go of the effects, right? Now, Lama Singh, of course, is saying that's not necessary at all, and that's actually requiring within your own being um, you to become aware of something. Why did it happen? And if your mind has really got to know that why answer, well, then you probably got to go figure out the why or find the why. But if any of you have tried that, I bet you dollars to donuts that your mind has done the following. It will begin to populate like a multiple choice question. Oh, it was this, or in a previous life, maybe this happened, or maybe it was this, it was this. And for some mysterious reason, you'll work your way through that multiple choice list until you settle on one. And then when you settle on one, you'll seem to have a sense of clarity. Oh, yes, now I understand where that came from and why this is here. And then you'll give yourself permission to potentially, quote, forgive it and let it go. I'm encouraging you, and Lama Singh would encourage you in the 30-second rule, to not bother with all of that exploration, because that's not really what it's all about. You don't need to understand why, or you don't have to find the originating cause. You have an opportunity to be in relationship to the energy that is arising within you. And it doesn't take long at all to realize what that energy is. Call it guilt, call it shame, call it lust, call it remorse, call whatever it is. It doesn't take you long at all to cognize what that emotional state is. But as a child of God, as soon as you identify what that state is and you name it, you are the authority of it. And in that authority, you can choose to bless that, honor, yes, this energy exists, and there are umpteen million reasons why one might feel guilty or feel shameful or feel unworthy or whatever the case may be. But recognize that as a child of God, you have authority over that emotional state and your relationship to it. And it takes no more than 30 seconds to recognize, oh, I see some guilt is coming up. And I can recognize it doesn't, that is just an experience of potential within consciousness. And I, as a child of God, honor and recognize that potential. I see that guilt for what it is. And that is not an experience that I would choose to deny nor indulge. I set it free and therefore myself free.
Oh, I wish that was printed out on a big sign. That was just fantastic.
So that's the essence. It took me a lot longer than 30 seconds to kind of explain it. And when you really, forgiveness is really nothing more than giving ourselves the permission to set ourselves free, for God's sakes. I mean, that's all it really is. And Jesus even calls forgiveness an illusion, because we're already free. We've always been free. We're never not free. Even if you're in denial and indulgence, that's a free way to be in relationship, not one that will be all that productive. So what I've just described in the 30-second rule is what the Buddha and the master would call the middle path. Not
Yes,
denial, not indulgence, but a place of honoring and absolute authority.
yes.
So when you come to this level of awareness, when you come to this level of being and you claim this level of authority, you'll find that the anxiety you have about what's the next big thing that's going to come up, because we've all felt that, right? You get on this journey, things just seem, you won't have the anxiety about it anymore. And nor will you have to be like Neo in the Matrix, like, come on, like with some spiritual bravado, because you'll recognize that it's going to come when it comes, if it's going to come, and when it does, I welcome it because it's an opportunity for me to stand in my power and authority. It's not proof of any unworthiness or any badness or any wrongness. It's just an experience that was not fully integrated, and now I have the power and authority to do so, and I will exercise that power and authority for my benefit, and in so
Getting
doing, set myself free. So the 30-second rule is incredible empowerment because it's built upon the power that we have as children of God.
oh, thank you.
So I hope
Beautiful.
that's helpful for anyone.
Thank
And
you.
I recognize that that contradicts um, thought systems and belief structures that may be perpetuated in other pathways and through other teachers. And I certainly honor those, as would Lama Singh. So I invite you each to turn within to the nature of your own spirit to know within yourself, is this 30-second rule applicable to me, or is some other methodology that I have used in the past, is that the way for me to go? Because I'm not seeking to make any other ones wrong, but sharing with you what Lama Singh was pointing to.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So let's pause a moment, maybe for 30 seconds.